The last memories I had about my father while he was alive was when he was on his hospital bed in St. Vincent, and we went there. It was like a weekend. My sister, my wife, and our kids. We went there to pay him a visit, and we brought ogi and akara, and he ate. He was very happy that he had that meal, and because it was contagious, he had was it scabies? Yeah, I mean the kids couldn't go into the room where he was, but they were peeping and trying to say bye to him, and he was really happy. I mean, more like he knew it was almost time. He would love to see them one more time. And after they had left, I didn't go with them. After they had left, I went over there, and he said, he ate a very good meal today. He was very happy, and I was trying to feed him some more fruits that he had in his refrigerator, and he had a little bit, but he was really contented. And when the nurse came, he said, I have stomachache. He said, from what? He said, from overeating, that I ate too much food. And he said that he was very happy. And then that was like practically the last time I saw him active, because after that, he went into a state of like a coma, which he didn't come out from. But I remember the last time, the day he passed away, which was a Saturday, we were called, me and my sister were called that his vitals signals are looking really poor, that it looks like it might not be, making him any much longer than some couple of hours. So we went over there, and we were both there, and I saw him, and I didn't know, not being medically inclined, my sister knew from looking at the vitals screen that it looks like it's in bad shape. I always felt, well, God has kept him this far, that He will keep him so much more, that if it's His wish. But then we had been having an argument with the doctor about telling us that it looks like we should take off the respirator we was on, and I said that's not my decision to make. If my father want to go, he would go gracefully. We won't get to the point where we the kids will be the one deciding, that we're not the decider. Well, of course, I felt that if there was ever any one of his kids in that shoes, nobody would be able to say that to him, and he won't have a big fight. So why should I decide? I don't decide. My father will decide when he wants to go. And I left and went, as I felt he would still be there when I come back, and I went to do my assignment. Unfortunately, I got a call that he passed away just a couple of minutes after I'd gone. I wish I had been there, but then the memories I have of him, the advice which I took for granted, the lot of arguments we had, where it would say a year later. Because why? He was a liberal person. Even though he was an educated professor, we have arguments on educational issues with him, which, consider it. This is a professor, his son's arguing with his father, who's a professor on academic issues. But it will let you have your say. It will let you have your own opinion. But it will tell you, well, you cannot understand mine because you're not seeing from my own point of view now. But I pray that later on that you understand it better. And a lot of them were now understanding and appreciating the advice, the tutelage, the moral values is passed on to us. Like my father said, you don't appreciate a prophet because you don't even know he was one. Because you see him as your father. But then the life of people is affected, span beyond us today. So words of a prophet, when it comes to pass, is when you now give, this man knew what we didn't know then. And I'm very happy that we had such a father for as long as we did. Not so many people have that gift to them. And moving ahead might be a little bit tough, but let's see that we've been gifted. The gift we had, the memories of him that we had while he was alive, should be what we should hold on to. And I know he's resting in the Lord right now, and he's happy where he is. So that's about the memories I had about him the last time I saw. Awesome.
His allergy. So the last time the last thing I remember about Daddy, actually my last word to Daddy was, Daddy mi ò fi yín lẹ̀ o, mo fà yín lé ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run mo fà yín lé o, mi ò fi yín lẹ̀ o, mo láti lọ tọ́jú àwọn ọmọ. And immediately I said I was as if, even though he was there and he was sleeping in the bed with the artificial ventilator that was basically just breathing for him, And it sounded like immediately I said that like he was hearing us all this time, and it also looked as if there was some spiritual beings in the room, you know. So immediately I said that, and then I called onto the nurse, and I was like, let us even do like a mouth care on him before I leave. And it's like immediately I said that, he just took his last breath and started coughing, and it was gone, you know. But I also want to, I don't know why I decided to start with that first. I would also like to thank God for just the privilege to really spend the last, the last 2 weeks of his life with him. You know, just going to New York, as soon as when I heard that Dad was really sick, and make arrangement for the kids to be taken care of, just went. You know, as soon as I saw that, then I told Daddy that, Daddy, èmi àtàwọn Brakayode I decided láti wá kàgbé wá sí Indiana so that tẹ́lẹ̀ gba ìtọ́jú tó dáa. He was really, really excited. He was like, really? Wọ́n ní, bí pé mo jẹ tẹ́tẹ́ nìyẹn. Pé ṣé pé kìíní, in fact, ó máa yà àwọn dókítà ẹ̀ lẹ́nu, wọ́n dẹ̀ fún yín lẹ́nu ẹ̀dẹ̀ jẹ́ kó sá lọ mọ́ yín lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n ní àbí kí wọ́n tún mí lẹ̀ nìyẹn. And you could just tell, for me, I just really thought that he probably made a bargain with God that, you know what, Indiana, mo fẹ́ wà, Indiana, ibi táwọn ọmọ mi wà. And he kept saying it anyway. He said, ibi táwọn ọmọ mi wà làwọn fẹ́ kàn sí àwọn sí. You know, ibi táwọn ọmọ àwọn wà làwọn fẹ́ wà. You know. And so, like, as soon as I got there, he was really excited. He was ready to go. Everything about him just changed. He was more lively. He was very happy. He just would speak and speak and speak every day, you know, till the day we actually took the flight. And I remember like just going on the flight, we're all so scared. We're like, I don't imagine kankan ṣẹlẹ̀. I remember like just getting on the flight, before getting on the flight, and Daddy was just praying pé Èdùmàrè mo fàyè mi lẹ́yìn lọ́wọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ nǹkan kan ṣe mí o, jẹ́ ǹdé Indiana ó ṣàgbàdúrà. Daddy prayed and we got to Indiana and was really, really happy, you know. But I think the last word that Daddy spoke to me was when Daddy said, I guess at the same time, that was when they were about to transfer him from the hospital to the nursing home. And Daddy was just there in the wheelchair. He was a little bit lethargic, a little bit confused, but at the same time he knew what was going on. And I was actually on my way to school. And you know, I was like, Daddy, so I was trying to explain to Daddy that Daddy won't transfer him from this hospital to a nursing home. So Daddy was like, oh yeah, well, like he kind of understood what was going on. So I told Daddy that one transfer in the C hospital, then Folution now called. And I think the last word is said to Folution was, Foluso, Mokio. Mokio. And then to me, he turned and he was saying, Jumoke, but one okore, one ayare or something, near accident. So I was like, Daddy, talo sofui. And then, you know, apparently he knew whatsoever was going on in my life then about my husband, and was like, oh my God. I now told him that I could sing a kotoshe and one more could sing a kotoshe, but uncle was like, oh, that. And that was basically really the last word he spoke to me, you know. It was regarding myself and my family, you know. But Daddy, I know wherever you are, I know it's a good place. And I know, and I just want you to really enjoy your time there. And I know all will be, don't think I'm crying, guys. I know with me that everything will work out good, and with all of us, everything will work out good. Thank you, Daddy, for being there for us. And I just want to say again, rest in perfect peace.
The last thing I remembered about my father actually was when we got to the airport. I mean, he was about to board a plane to Indianapolis, and I could remember him saying his last words to me, and that was Folabi Omatojuel, Omatojuel, and he said that 3 times. And I gave him a hug, and you know, something in me just knew like that's the last time that, you know, I would actually, you know, have anything to say or have any physical contact, you know, with my father. Despite the fact that I still had the belief that, you know what, that is not going nowhere. I mean, Dad looks strong, you know, healthy. I mean, he has always been my hero. He's not that man that is just gonna go like that. Like, I what's going on? But then another thing in me was saying like, okay, you better cherish this moment because it might just be the last time you're gonna have any physical, contact with your father whatsoever. But other than that, I remember when he was in the hospital and all the advices he gave me. I remember when he was saying, "Oh, Falabi, tuba re ni koko tuba she." Ma sọ pé bóyá o ṣẹ̀yàn ó gbé sínú ó máa ń dínà. And I was like, wow, why is Daddy saying these things? Then he said, sórí àwọn nurse àti nurse tí mo bá ṣe tó gbóúnjẹ wá lánàá, he was very nasty but mo bú ó feel so bad but mo ti pé mo apologize sí. Bọ́lá bí tó bá jẹ́ pé ó dìyàn kankan sínú má dìyàn sínú ó máa ń dínà. And that's when I started knowing that, I think this is something beyond actually my, my belief, because I'm a kind of man that actually believes in what I believe, and until the last minute I keep believing in what I believe. But the moment that made that statement, something clicked in me, letting me know that, okay, you're not going to be hearing any much more of this kind of statement. So, when you're hearing it, cherish it and make use of it the way you should, And, he traveled to Indiana, and 2 weeks later, I got the news that, my father eventually passed on March 26th. I still, in my mind, I was like, what, when he gets to heaven, God is going to return him. Because it's really not his time. But then it started dawning on me that, we're not going to see this great man no more when, his casket was lowered into, his grave. And, but I could just thank God for giving him to us the time that we had him in our lives, the time frame. Like they say, you never appreciate, a prophet, when you have him around, when he's your father. But basically, every lesson and everything he has inculcated in us, I guess is something we'll be able to, act on and work on in our daily lives. And ever since he's passed on, people see you and they kind of, they wonder how you know these things. But then they actually don't know from the lineage you come from, that you come from like almost directly from the lineage of Prophet Elijah. So that has been a gift in our life, but I guess we don't realize this because, like my brother said, when you have, a prophet as your father, you don't really see him as a prophet, you see him as just your father. But when he passes away and you have to deal, with living by yourself and you have to decide by yourself, you don't have no more of this very quality advice you get from him no more. And that's when all those things he used to say, and he would say, this is the time that we're actually understanding all those things that he used to tell us. And he would say, oh, later, So, just to buttress my point, Daddy once predicted while he was in a rehab, he was so weak. And, he was weak at the same time he was strong in my face because I never saw him weak. For some reason, I never could just accept that my father was weak because my father was one hero to me. Like he was, he can't just go down like that. That's what I actually emphasize about my father. My father I was looking at 150 for my father, but God knows best. But then he used to say, he once predicted that, Mori omo mommy kan ó sọ fún mi pé kí wọ́n sùn ní Greenfield. Ibẹ̀ yẹn green law tutu. And today is exactly 1 year that my father passed, and we're standing right in front of where he was buried. As you can see, we're standing in front of a lake, right next to a lake, actually. You can see the lake right next to us. And he actually said, grass here, green law. And we could see right next to him, we could see green fields. And this is not one, this is not two, this is not three of my father's prophetic, sayings about he would predict about what's going to happen in the future. And you never would understand, but later on you start to see what he was actually saying. So, I mean, I just actually thank God that, such a great man was in our lives, and such a great man has impacted our lives in a very positive way. And I can't do but so much but just continue giving thanks to God, because a lot of people pray for this kind of, prophet, this kind of Messiah in their life, but they never, get one. But I'm very happy that we have Professor J.T. Atobatele in our lives as our father. So on this occasion, I just want to say to him, I know he's in a good place, so I'm just going to say to Professor J.T. Atobatele, my father, that you rest in peace.
Yeah, I'm Taiwo Atobatele. Joseph Taiwo Atobatele the second. Thing I like about my father is that he's a person that gives me encouragement. Like sometimes I used to feel like if my father could go to school and have a PhD, I can do that also. So sometimes I used to say, okay, this one. Sometimes if you go to his department in the UI, you see, even right like year 2010, the HOD of Agriculture was a student. It's a good thing to have a father that's a teacher that taught great people, like for example, Pastor E. Adeboye. I say if your father could teach great people like that. Someone often told me that he taught one of the bank head of CBN bank. I was say if my father could do this, I can do that also. So I remember the last time he came to Nigeria, we slept on the same bed. Then we used to talk. Atayo was a go fetch psychology. She economics money àwọn ọmọ ọ̀rẹ́ mi méjì wọ́n ṣe economics wọ́n jẹ́ wà ní World Bank. So you have okay tó bá okay jáde ṣeré díẹ̀ lọ. So he brought a cent, then we chose the coin. Then he chose economics. Okay that year wo bi tẹ́ máa dé sí tẹ́ bá wá sí America. Okay Tayo jáde ṣe tẹ́ okay wọ New York ló máa dé sí. Kẹ́hìndé bolo okay Indianapolis ló máa dé sí. Felicia àti ìyàwó àdé sí New York. So he's a good man. He's like a role model to me. So he's a good man. I like my father. So sometimes I have to be I'm a professor in me. So when I was in school in Nigeria, Ojaba far away, I'm a professor ni. What you think about going to a professor? Most of them are professor ni. Ojaba far away. One person will say, okay. Ó máa bá yé ẹ̀jẹ̀ to the say kò lè ṣe túṣe mọ́. Bó ṣe bá kò tí kàwé ó parọ́ fún ẹni ó ti kàwé. Ó máa bá yé ẹ̀jẹ̀ to the say kò lè ṣe wọ́n kébì tí kàwé okay anyway the gene is there. That's what I realized that I said okay if my father could be a mathematician, a well-known mathematician, I can do it also. Okay so normally I don't know maths and I hate maths. For your mom, yeah. When I was in secondary school, I ran away from further maths. So when I got to economics, UI, economics, further maths, it was sample no more to buy by. Okay, this is what I mean. It's just one last joke. To buy more father me. Lati mama, oh yeah, came no more, and the course was Eco 104. Could you believe that out of 100%, 90% carried the course, but I was able to have 50. Why you go one more orí kí ló gbà lọ ó gba 50 àwa jẹ́ gba 39 one mark ló pé ló kù case like a role model is the one giving me economy to go okay I want to have a PhD. If I'm still thinking of having two PhDs. Okay, I want to be a good man. Okay, that's Joseph Taiwo Atobatele the second. Because the first has gone. There must be someone to replace him. That's how.
Thank you.
Well, what I can really remember about my dad is that last time he came to Nigeria from US, he didn't really have much time to discuss, but I could remember he advised me to go for nursing. Then he went to UCH to get me a nursing form and filled it for me. We talked about going to US, staying in Indianapolis with my sister. And that was really a good man, a very brave man. And he's the kind of person that if he advises you to do something and you don't do it, forget about it. Or to say something about my dad is really a very brave man and a very good man. A very nice man too. He taught a lot of people, even some of his students even taught me in school. At times the man will say, "Omo, Professor Atobatele da. Oh, mọ̀wé tó daddy ẹ̀, ṣé daddy ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé oh mọ̀wé dáadáa?" I was not like daddy mi. Daddy mi mo mọ̀wé o mi lè báwo ni daddy mi mama mọ̀ pé mi mọ̀wé. So the man was like, "Oh yeah, ṣé daddy ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé oh mọ̀wé tó?" So I was not like, he has passed away. So the man was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But he was a nice man. That was the man talking. Then I had one of his students taught me Agric economics in school also, 200 level. And the man too is a very nice man. The man would say, when she was in school, whenever my dad wants to talk, he says, "Ooh," to the microphone. And that really advised me on the profession I had to go in future, I had to do in future. And that was nursing. He said, I must do nursing. That nursing is good. And I went to UCH to get me a form on nursing. But although I couldn't get in, but I still thank God that He helped me get the form. Then I could remember a day Dad wanted to give me money just to go somewhere. They was like, "Ṣé o ní and change lọ́wọ́ kí n fún ẹ ní owó kò dẹ̀ fún mi change mi." I was not like, mi ní o. Táyé ńkọ́ ṣé o ní? Táyé too said, "I don't have." Ẹ̀yin ọmọ yìí ẹ̀ fẹ́ fún mi ní kíní àbí? Mo ti mọ scope yín, ẹ má worry ṣá. So the man is really a very brave man. Nice man. If you go anywhere and you ask people, tell me something about this man, they will tell you the man is a very nice man and jovial, and I love him for that. Even though I did not really have time to discuss things with him because there was not really enough time for that. But I still thank God. Although I don't really know my father, but I could say a little about him that he's a very nice man, a brave man, a jovial person. And I'm saying to Professor Atobatele, may your gentle soul rest in perfect peace.
Remember about I have good memories of Daddy when he used to come and visit us here in Indianapolis. I'd go and pick him up from the train station, and before the day, a few days before he's due to arrive, I'll make sure that I have, I go and buy cocoa, because I know the person will say that night, "Titi Joba and cocoa." And then his breakfast is always some pancakes in the morning with his tea. Everything has to be set in the morning when he comes downstairs from upstairs. And then I get ready to start listening to the stories from early in the morning. All the stories of how he met his wife, how he toasted her, how he wrote the letter, the love letter to her. He would say the stories on and on again. But they always sounded lovely. They would like be in the background. As I'm cooking and cleaning the house, I'll have Daddy talking in the background. And as soon as he falls asleep a while, then he'll want it on bello, then want to touch it. "Titi, what that?" That was very funny, but so the last trip he came to Indiana, Kaide just put his video camera in front of him from morning, and he kept on talking. And could you believe it's one of the most precious things that we have now. Whenever we watch it, we will laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. Even our friends in Canada, when they watch it, when they come to visit us, everybody laughs, and he's always been like that. He's the sort of person that brings everybody together, and I'm glad that that's my last memory of him. He was still strong. Even though the last time he came to visit us, he had, some medical issues, and I remember that night that he was really down, and he called me and he said, "Titi Jowaba and Woesemi," and I was like, I can't do this. So I went to go and wake Kayode, and Kayode spent that night with him. And and you know, he slept well. Then he woke up in the morning, and that's really my last memory of him. But I remember that day. I'm glad that that's the last memory I have of him, because he was still very happy and walking and strong. And I remember him like that always. I know that in heaven he will be like walking around, introducing himself to everybody and making friends all over the place, just like he did in this life. So, Daddy, rest in peace and continue your journey.
I remember when I first met Daddy, that was when we moved over that was when we moved over to the States, and I don't know what I was doing that day, and I was like, Kunle, Kuba football, okay, Obìnrin nìkan kọ́ ló máa ń ṣiṣẹ́ l'America, ìwọ náà bọ́ síbẹ̀ Kuba football. And you know, I remembered anytime he comes to Indianapolis during the summertime, like Mommy Tominson said, he would tell me the same story that I've heard 1,000,000 times. And he would be like, Laito, show me got him on so. I'm like, Daddy, mo gbọ́ yín, kiniko, you know. He was very nice, very jovial. He would tell me a lot of stories that I've heard 1,000,000 times. Tell me the same story when Kunle was small, when he used to say Jumoke Onkuro. He tells me that all the time whenever he comes to Indianapolis. And I remember when he was moved down from New York, that he came to the hospital. I was there with him in the hospital, and I don't know, I felt so down. And I remember throughout his stay in the hospital, I was always going there every day. On my way to school, I go over there, I talk to him. I remember one time he was unconscious, but I entered the room and I said, Daddy, light on you. But I knew well, probably maybe he heard me, but then he was unconscious. And I remember one time he came to Indiana before he was sick. He said, oh yeah, we went to church, light on mum, lucky pastor, check a lucky pastor. So he went to say hello to our pastor. Then when he was in the hospital, I told my pastor, so he went over there to pray for him, and he started telling pastor a lot of stories. And when my pastor was leaving, he said, I like your father-in-law, is a very jovial man and things like that. But I just want to thank God for his life. I want to thank God because he, at least the Bible said, will live up to 70. He lived over 70 years. And I remember the day he died, I felt so bad. I was really down, but I just thank God because, you know, God knows best and everything happens in life for a reason. So I just want to say rest in peace to Grandpa. Thank you so much.
Grandpa bought candy for me.
What else did he buy for you?
I don't know what else he buy for me.
But you remember that you have Grandpa, right? Grandpa comes over.
I remember that Grandpa was in heaven because he was sick.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What do you remember about Grandpa? Do you remember Grandpa? What? You remember Grandpa? Look at me, Where is he? Okay, thank you very much. Too late.
Well, the last time I remember seeing Grandpa was because he would visit every once in a while to see how we were doing, and he visited and we were sitting and talking for about maybe 30 minutes or an hour, and I went back outside to play with my friends. But if I knew it was the last time I would see him, I would have stayed there much longer and kept talking to him. But his death was so unexpected because he was so healthy for his age. Like, I actually thought he was like 50-something until my dad told me. But and he was very like, you would want to be around him because he always made you feel better. And he was a good person. Rest in peace.
And what do you remember him buying for you last, or what do you remember him saying to you last time he spoke to you? Do you remember the discussion?
Not really.
Teaching you some math.
Oh, okay. I think he did.
Did he teach you math? What kind of math did he teach you?
Yeah, he was like teaching me like arithmetic and like the multiplication tricks and stuff. Like when you're multiplying by 9, every number, the sum of the digits actually adds up to 9. I actually found that pretty cool.
Good. Wow, I didn't know that.
Okay. Grandpa was very generous. Whenever he would come to visit us, he'd always bring Nigerian clothes. What is it? Agbada, and what's the other one? I forget what the other one is called. But, yeah, so I mean, it's not. We would wear it for maybe like the next Sunday or something like that, and put it away. But he kept bringing it, and it was very nice of him because I know those aren't easy to get, and they're not cheap, and also. And also, he was the kind of person that there's people that talk a lot and they're just obnoxious and you don't want to hear, but he was the kind of person who would talk a lot, but at the same time you would still be listening to what he's saying and you'd end up learning from what he was saying, whether you liked it or not. And he always, I don't know, that he just always had something to tell. Like every day he would learn something new and he'd tell somebody else. So the knowledge that he had, he would always try to pass it on to as many people as he could, which is probably one of his best qualities, because when you take after somebody dies, the things that you remember is the things that they've taught you and the things that they gave you in life that you use every day in your life. And because he gave as many people the knowledge that he had as he could. That's why a lot of people, it's not like, oh, he died, so sad. It's like, oh, like he died and he had an impact in my life. Like, now that he's gone, part of my life is different now because I don't have him there. And I think that's part of the reason that makes him such a great person and makes everybody miss him so much.
Alright, so I'm the firstborn of Professor Joseph Atobatele. He's the kind of dad that he's a dad initially, super dad, and then later on in life he becomes your friend. So just to talk about the last time I spoke to him, it was 2 weeks before he went to Indiana. So the day after I saw him, my sister came, Jumoke, and took him to Indiana, and I went back to Canada. And I remember telling him that, Dad, other people might be losing a dad or a granddad. I said, I'm losing my dad and I'm losing my best friend. And he looked and he mustered all the strength and he said, when I see you, I melt too, And that's the kind of relationship we had. We had that of a child initially, but eventually became like that of a brother, and it became that of a very good friend. So when I think of these things now, I tear up a little because I miss him. I miss him because he was one person I could argue with, and I have an argument, I will present my case, and sometimes he will let me win. And a lot of things I do with my own kids now, I do because I learned them from him. So I'll say I'm privileged that I had a super dad, so that I have somebody that I can imitate towards my children to try and make a difference in their lives. So today is the 7th of April, so today he would have been 75 years old. But then he only spent 73, but we're just grateful to God. We're grateful to God because of the many things that God has used to show us that He's turned our mourning into joy. For example, March 26th of this year marked exactly 1 year that he passed, and that's the same day that his last born kids were issued their immigrant visa so that they can be here today to celebrate 1 year anniversary and to talk about their dad right here at his graveside. I think that's just God showing us that He cares and that He has always cared. So everything that other people will call a period of mourning for us, God has turned around and He has made a joyful period. So we are extremely grateful to God for the life that He lived. We're extremely grateful to the values that He passed to us, because that's what we have now. That's all that is left actually, but that's the most important. That's what strengthens us. That's what makes us to keep going. We remember the things that he told us. We remember the instructions he gave us. We remember the advice that he gave us. And I dare to say that that has made us stand out in the crowd. It has made us a different breed of people. And it has made us a family that people want to associate with. For that, we're grateful. We're grateful to God, and we're grateful also to our dad for being a wonderful dad. And that one of the things he taught us, and there are many things to say about him, but one of the things he taught us was he taught us to speak positively about everything. Dad always had a spin on things. No matter how negative it appeared, he always had a spin on it that will make you see the value in it. That goes along in my own life, and that has become part of my personality. It's something I picked up from him. There are many other things I picked up from him, but people see me as a strong person, full of life, but that all comes from relating with him. He was an awesome friend, and one that cannot be forgotten easily, one whose values are always living every day of our lives. And so I am honored to have been born to come in this family as the firstborn. I am extremely honored. I'm extremely grateful to God, and I only hope that I will be able to carry those values across for my generation, and then for the generations coming, that we'll be able to pass that on, so that this event of us coming together, remembering him, can become something that we do every year and for a very long time, so that when you look back 50 years from now and you look at these tapes, you remember, okay, here lies the beginning of the Atobatele's in Indianapolis, and by that time hopefully it will be a very large organization, very large family, very large group, in Jesus' name. Thank you.